unkind, friendly, your worst enemy, charming, crass, and potentially dangerous. Have you ever heard of such? I'm invisible and impossible to touch.
What's up, it's your boy, I Know Mercy, the Mad Hatter. Genshin Impact has been around for a while now, and it's one of those games I've had passing interest in playing, but never really considered necessary to actually get into, especially given the general bad reputation of gacha and live service games. I also took some issue with just how boring the character designs of the various playable characters that are available in the game, so even though the game looked kind of fun, I wasn't in any real rush to download it. But with Hoyo vs. upcoming Zenless Zone Zero looking considerably better than Genshin in terms of character design and animation, I wanted to take a closer look at the designs in Genshin and see if they really are as bad as they seem. The problem is that outside the context of the story, the designs can't be properly examined in any meaningful way. So I decided to bite the bullet and finally play through Genshin Impact to fully explore the world and its characters. And to make fun of it. I make fun of this game a lot.
Trying to say is that you fell here from another world?
It all starts with these two very blonde twins apparently traveling from world to world because fuck it, why not? I'd go world hopping if I could do it too. Then some bad guy goddess lady rocks up out of fucking nowhere and pushes their shit in for some reason.
Outlanders, your journey ends here.
This character looks like Salem from movie if she paradoxically looked more boring and more ostentatious. I picked a female protagonist and named her Ivory because this is the whitest white girl who's ever white girled. The two protagonists are probably the best designed characters I've come across so far. Not that they're really great, they're just the most visually consistent. The primary and secondary colors associated with both characters is white and gold, but the male protagonist tertiary character in his design is brown, while the female's is blue. It's a good way of both connecting them as siblings while clearly differentiating them. The white and gold also denotes them as being otherworldly or potentially deific, which makes the abundance of white and gold in other characters' designs unnecessary and muddles the intention behind these designs. This kind of reminds me of some games starting with the player character being able to do awesome shit before losing all their powers and slowly building up back to that point towards the end of the game. Except not only am I not actually playing the fight scene, but I'm pretty sure I'll never be able to do anything like this in the actual game.
Ether!
The evil bad guy goddess turns her brother into cubes, then turns us into cubes, and now we have an annoying sidekick.
How many years ago was it? I don't know.
This is also the only time our character actually talks for some reason. There are dialogue options throughout the game, and it's just weird we never actually hear our own voice. Now if we talk, we might not need Paimon. That's reason enough to do it.
Yeah, Paimon really owes you for that. Otherwise, Paimon likely would have drowned.
And if it had been up to me, I'd have thrown you right back in.
So Paimon will do her best to be a great guide.
Why is Paimon talking in the third person? I know that this is something that young anime characters do to make them seem cuter, but it's just annoying. Oh yeah, I forgot, this game got called a Breath of the Wild clone when it first came out, and yeah, it's not wrong. Is this why your character doesn't talk?
That's a statue of the Seven. There are a few of these statues scattered across the land to show the Seven's protection over the world.
We find a tower dedicated to one of the 7 gods of this world, and it gives us wind powers. For some reason. Maybe it's because we're an extra-dimensional alien traveler beefing with another god, and this god wants us to help kick her ass. Also, these are waypoint markers that help us fill out the map. At least we don't have to climb things, so I guess that's something that says over Breath of the Wild.
Prepare to be flung away! These are the animal powers you got from the statue of the Seven. Oh, Paimon's so jealous. Why doesn't Paimon get cool fighting powers?
Because God hates you as much as I do. Elements are called different things in this game for some reason. Anemo is wind, Pyro is fire, Hydro is water, Dendro is nature, Geo is earth, Electro is lightning. For some reason, the devs wanted all the elements to end in O, I guess.
If we keep heading west from here, we'll eventually reach Mondstadt, the City of Freedom.
Paimon tells us to head to the nearby city of Mondstadt because we don't have anything better to do, so fuck it, why not? Well, that's a fuck of a thing. Let's check it out. We find a twink talking to the wind dragon before it flies off. Something about our wind powers resonates with the dragon, so I guess he's going to be important later on. I don't fucking know. Maybe the twink too. I'm just guessing. I've seen him in shit, so I have to assume he's important later.
Luckily, Paimon managed to grab hold of your hair. Thanks.
You know, it's too bad you can't tell people to go fuck themselves during these dialogue sections. Let me roleplay in this role-playing game, goddammit.
Paimon thought we were gonna get eaten.
I'm just sorry you didn't get eaten. You find some weird red stone that may or may not be important. Honestly, with games like this, it's completely up in the air whether or not this is a plot hook, material for crafting or leveling, or just some collectible that doesn't actually mean anything. After the situation with the Dragon Twink, we run into another character. I'm not gonna like you either, am I?
I am Amber, outrider for the Knights of Favonius. You don't look like citizens of Mondstadt. Explain yourselves.
Go fuck yourself. How's that for an explanation?
Please, not me! I got Indian in my family!
And this mascot, what's the deal with it?
Hey! That's even worse than being a mascot!
And it's better than you deserve.
So to sum it up, you're traveling partners, right?
Partner is a strong word.
Well, look, there's been a large dragon sighted around Mondstadt recently. Best you get inside the city as soon as possible.
Amber calls herself an outrider, which makes more sense than her being an actual knight, considering her design. She has more resemblance to scouts or rangers than anything else, but even then, this feels like a cosplayer's approximation of a ranger. Like, not even in any anime I've seen matches how much this character barely looks like the type of character she's supposed to be. The overall red color scheme feels like a lazy way of establishing her connection to fire, especially considering most ranger characters are most associated with greens or browns. Honestly, incorporating brown or shades of tan into her color scheme, or at least having her visibly wear leathers, would sell the outrider image they're going for a little better. Okay, this might be a me thing, but the fact that weapons just float behind the character models feels really cheap. After Amber joins my party, I spend a few minutes futzing around with the menus. If there was any doubt that this was a gacha game, the abundance of random materials with like 5 different functions to upgrade your characters absolutely fucking confirms it. We do some dumb shit with Amber to clear out a monster cap. I'm not totally sure what Amber is able to do, so it's a good thing this combat encounter was super easy. It was barely an inconvenience. I don't feel great about that reference, but I'm sticking by it.
Ha! Nothing to it. Though I've gotta say, you surprised me a little with your moves there.
I only played as you here, but okay.
So these annoying creatures have been getting closer and closer to the city?
Exactly. That said, clearing this camp helped make the area a little bit safer.
Yeah, clearing out a camp with less than 5 monsters will definitely make a difference. I accidentally wandered into Mondstadt before it was actually supposed to in the story, so the big reveal shot of the city really didn't have the impact the devs probably wanted it to. It's even funnier that the scene just switches from night to day like this.
Let me officially introduce the city of wind, dandelions, and freedom.
That is a weird combination of things to be renowned for.
Before I take you guys to the Knights of Favonius headquarters, I have a present for you, traveler. It's a reward for helping me clear out that Hilichurl camp.
Hey! Why doesn't Paimon get a reward?
Because no one likes you. After wandering around Mondstadt for a little bit, we meet Amber at the top of a tower or some shit to make this game even more like Breath of the Wild.
A wind glider!
Oh, you're really excited about these wind gliders, huh?
Well, that's because the wind is the heart and soul of Mondstadt.
She says this, but I'm pretty sure every playable character will get a glider whether they're from Mondstadt or not.
It's easy to use, but you still need to pay attention to my instructions.
Yes, thread the needle. On my first time. How do you like that shit, Amber? The Wind Dragon Storm Terror attacks Mondstadt with tornadoes and pulls us into the air. Oh, okay. This is a shmup now. You know what? Cool. I wonder how often gameplay switch-ups are gonna happen like this. This could actually be really cool if... Oh, it's over already? Alright then. That felt kind of pointless, not gonna lie. We fly back down to Amber and then this blue fuck shows up. Why do I have a feeling he's gonna be the darkest character we run into for a while?
Hold on, Amber. Are you perhaps forgetting to introduce us?
Oh, right. This is Kaya, our cavalry captain.
Okay, this dude should definitely have on more armor than he does. And it feels like this dude only has an eye patch to make him seem more badass. But the effect really doesn't work on the basic bitch anime twink design that they go for here. Fuck, the designs in this game are bad.
First and foremost, on behalf of the Knights of Favonius, I would like to extend our thanks to you for your help just now.
If you want to thank me, change your order's name. It sounds fucking stupid. We head off to meet up with Mondstadt's leaders. Do any of these knights wear actual fucking armor?
Jean, what's the hurry? I thought we agreed to meet them here.
There have been sightings of storm terror outside the city. Once we meet, we must...
Relax. I'll lend a hand when the time comes.
If these two aren't fucking, then what's the point?
Jean, I've brought them.
Mondstadt welcomes you, Windborn travelers. I am Jean, acting Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius. This is Lisa, our resident librarian.
Librarian means witch, apparently. Well, at least that explains why she isn't wearing armor.
We simply ask that you repose in Mondstadt while we help you seek out your brother.
We eventually decide to help these assholes with the Wind Dragon issues in exchange for them helping us find our brother.
Hey, don't be such a slug. We should be a part of this too.
Good. In that case, we need a plan.
So this is where I actually had to stop for a while because I ended up booting up Genshin Impact before downloading the full game past the intro. Kinda took me a while to get back to it after I did, but when I did, we finally headed off to the game's first dungeon. Okay. After downloading the full game, we immediately head out to the game's first dungeon. We meet up with Amber at the door of the first temple, and a big twist is revealed to us. The temple is in fact dedicated to Storm Terror himself.
Yes. I also find it hard to accept, but Storm Terror was once one of the 4 winds.
But we can't dwell on that because...
The wind tier. Something's off. Let's go in and take a look. Be careful. The dragon's power is disturbing this area.
Sure, fuck it, let's get this shit over with. Something that is worth talking about with the dungeons is that they basically have higher level instances, giving you some incentive to actually come back later and try the dungeons again. It's actually a pretty clever way of keeping players invested in the older areas and coming back to them routinely to play them the longer the game goes on. Huh. Yeah, this place actually looks pretty cool. It'd be a real shame if it turned out all the dungeons in this game basically look the exact fucking same and aren't in any real way unique. Because that'd be stupid. Something I will give Genshin credit for is the way elements interact with each other and the world. The different elements can be used to solve different puzzles in the world and the dungeon. Amber's pyro abilities burn things like thorns and wooden shields. Kaya's cryo abilities can freeze both bodies of water and enemies standing in water. Lisa's electro abilities can stun wet enemies, and even our animal powers can be used to spread fires. I also found this gate thing. I didn't actually know what it was at first, but apparently it's just a checkpoint. If you die, you respawn here. Apparently the thing that makes Amber unique is the fact that she can throw out a decoy bunny thing that explodes after a few minutes. It's not super helpful. I honestly hope to Christ she gets better abilities later on. The dungeon itself is about what you'd think a dungeon was. A few combat arenas, some basic puzzles, and then we're done. We break a thing, Amber says some shit I don't care about, and then we leave.
I'm not saying I don't know our history. It's just... I mean, a librarian is supposed to be more knowledgeable than an outrider, right?
We get it, Amber. You're an idiot.
It's a statue of the 7. Let's make an offering and see if the gods respond.
You find another wind god statue and unlock more of the world map. These statues can heal you and your party members a specific amount every time you visit them, so that's pretty useful. We also found some weird magic bullshit that we can give to the statue for different buffs and benefits depending on how much of the wind shit you find. Ran across this knight dude that I think is supposed to be part of some side quest, but I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do, so I just fucked off. And wait, hold up. So this random NPC gets to wear armor, but none of the knights in our party do? How does that make sense? Unsurprisingly, Genshin also has a cooking system, because if Breath of the Wild does something, chances are this game does it too. It is slightly more involved, with a short minigame, but lacks the pure chaotic sense of discovery of throwing random shit in a pot and seeing what pops up. There's something that's dangerous in open world games that I actually don't really mind having, and that's the possibility of running into monsters that are way stronger than you and you getting your ass kicked. Also, this game has overworld bosses. I dig it. I eventually decided to do something I probably should have done a while ago and use some of the gear I've found in the treasure chest while exploring the open world. Gear isn't that interesting. It doesn't affect the appearance of the characters in any way, and the effects aren't particularly felt during gameplay. You can equip gear in specific sets to boost bonuses you get from the gear significantly, but really that's it. And also, the gear itself is structured weird. Isn't like headgear, body armor, or gauntlets or greaves or something like that. It looks more like jewelry and accessories than anything else. It still works, but it's just a little weird. After fucking around a lot, we finally meet up with Kaya to deal with the second dungeon.
You've arrived. Come closer. Can you smell that? Something must have happened in the temple. I imagine there will be slimes, hilly churls, and whatever's giving Storm Terror extra power. Oh yes. It is going to be lively in there indeed.
How does smell tell you something like that?
Oh, you're quite the brave one, aren't you?
Hoyoverse really couldn't find a better voice actor, could they?
Let me show you how the Knights of Favonius conquer our adversaries.
Stop trying to sound badass. It isn't working. The second dungeon isn't much different than the first. A few combat arenas, simple puzzles. I really hope the dungeons later on have more going on for them. I'm not asking for puzzle rooms as complex as Breath of the Wild shrines, but something a little more stimulating than this would be cool. Well, since Kaya joined our party, let's take a closer look at his character design. I have no idea what Kaya is supposed to be just by looking at him. He's supposed to be a cavalry captain, but I don't really get that from this guy. Especially since he has yet to be seen riding a horse, something you'd think a cavalry captain would. How much you want to bet that they just added cavalry to his title to make it sound more impressive without fully knowing what a cavalry actually is? Side note, I feel like the open world would be a lot easier to travel if mounts were a thing. Outside of that, Kaya fits into my main complaint for Amber's design, that he feels like a cosplayer's version of the kind of character he's supposed to be. He looks like a K-pop idol cosplaying as a pirate. And I'm only going with pirate because of the eye patch, and his overall vibe feels more like a pirate than a knight. Something I didn't even realize about Kaya's design is that he has a ponytail. And the reason I didn't realize that is because the giant... I don't even know what this is. The big white fluffy thing on his shoulder. Is that a boa? It looks like a boa. I don't know. The point is, his design is too busy. There's too much going on, and it's hard to take in any one aspect of his design. Yeah, I had a lot more to talk about Kai's design than I thought I would. Anyway.
Bravo! What a performance.
I haven't played as you this whole dungeon, but okay.
I can take care of the rest here. You go take care of other things while I'm at it.
This would mean a lot more if we couldn't switch to Kaya immediately after leaving. And of course, the calm ice-themed pretty boy has an aggressive fire-themed pretty boy rival. This is the most cliched shit imaginable.
Agree to disagree, but Your involvement in this just made things a whole lot more interesting.
If these two aren't fucking, then what's the point? The fact that this basic as shit puzzle to open this random chest in the field was more interesting than any puzzle in the previous 2 dungeons feels wrong. We spend considerably less time fucking around and pretty much head straight to the 3rd dungeon to meet Lisa.
Don't hesitate to come to me if you need anything.
Why is a librarian dressed as a not safe for work cosplayer?
Good question.
Fuck, this dungeon has a bunch of extra shit later on, huh? You know, I can't help but notice that Kaya is a lot darker in these portraits than he is in the actual game.
Let's ride this wind current, shall we?
This is the 3rd time we had to use wind currents like this. I think I get it.
Hit!
Having Lisa's book float behind her looks especially stupid, not gonna lie.
Dragon of the East, Lion of the South, Wolf of the North, Falcon of the West.
Lisa is presented to us as a librarian. She's a scholar or a teacher, and there is a specific character type that tends to come to mind when you hear a character is supposed to be a scholar. Instead, she looks like a stereotypical witch. Well, actually, she looks like a hot anime witch, but still. Hell, the fact that she's really flirty and supposed to be, like, I have to assume, the hot character, doesn't even come across in her design in any meaningful way, since her outfit is no more revealing or sexual than any other given prominent female character we've seen so far. This game can't even do thirst traps right. Fuck! Lisa explains that there are 4 temples dedicated to the Wind God, and considering we just cleared 3 of them, I'm going to assume we're gonna have to go to the 4th one to deal with the whole Storm Terror deal.
Wanna go back and see how the knights are doing? But if you got anything more interesting to do, Paimon can come too.
Please don't.
By the way, we obtained another Animalculus in one of the 4 Winds temples, right? We might come across more of them in the future, so don't forget to offer them to the statues.
So to continue the story, we'll have to get to Adventure Rank 10, which should be fairly easy, since apparently the way you earn Adventurer ranks is just by futzing around in the overworld and doing quests. Shouldn't take that long. So, what do I think about Genshin Impact after about 2 hours of playtime? Honestly, I can kind of get the appeal of this game based on gameplay. It's about as fun to wander the overworld in this game as it is in Breath of the Wild. There's enough random shit to keep your attention even if you're not doing the main quest, and that's probably the best thing you can hope for in a game like this. The writing and voice acting aren't great, but no worse than any other mid-tier anime. The design of the world map is bright and colorful, the enemies aren't super interesting, but I'm still in the starting stage, so I'm willing to give that time to get better. Hell, I'm even willing to acknowledge I get why people like the characters so much. And yes, I know I've been shitting on them for the entirety of this video, but let me explain. There's something everyone needs to understand about character design. There's a difference between good character design and appealing character design. Appealing character design is pure fluff. It's visually striking in one way or another, and if you're attracted to the specific design aesthetic that the character aligns with, then even if it's the most boring, uninteresting character design imaginable, you'll get hooked by it. But it isn't actually saying anything about the character, their personality, or their place in the world or story. It's just a character design with little to no substance to it. There isn't to say that character design for appeal can't be good and actually have something meaningful to say, but it is very clear that was not the intention behind the characters of Genshin Impact. Just to prove my point, let's actually take a look at Jean. Since I never really took a deeper look at Jean's design, and I don't know when or if she'll join our party, let me explain why of the 4 characters we encountered so far, she's probably the best. While I'm still a little annoyed she isn't wearing armor, Jean at least has the visual aesthetic of someone with some kind of aristocratic status, which matches her being Mondstadt's city leader and the Grandmaster of an Order of Knights. And she actually looks like a knight when she isn't out doing war and shit. It is heavily stylized, but it doesn't take away from the vibe that the character is going for. I look at Jean, and I can tell she's someone important in the city. If you tell me she's a knight, I'd go, yeah, I can see that. So I'm not saying Genshin can't make good character design, but when a character is designed to look cool or hot without thinking about how they fit in the world, that's when things go off a cliff. But despite everything, I am enjoying myself. Even if I don't like the characters that much, I am having fun just exploring the world. And the combat system is fun enough, and I can see how it can open up and have more interesting things involved in it. So I'm going to keep playing this game and get to the end of the prologue and share that little adventure with you. And if these videos do well, I'll keep recording my playthrough of this game and share that with you as well. But that's all in the future. Until then, I'm I No Mercy, the Mad Hatter. I'll see y'all later.